You know what else is dope? Maybe isn't 91 years old and been playing music since 1956, but these guys have been playing StarCraft since, I don't know, probably like 2007 or something. I'm not really sure how long they've been playing, but a while. They've been playing a while. And now they're playing in the KSL number 53. In the grand finals is a best of 5. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have Twisted Minds Classic. And of course, his opponent in the lower right, the blue Zerg for Talon Esports. It's Dark. Dark, I would say, a pretty big favorite here. I mean, maybe not a huge favorite, but a best of 5 against Dark is a tough one. I think Classic's going to have his work cut out for him. And it looks like we're going to start off with a nice little hatch block of the Nexus. Dark puts down his own hatchery back at home, waiting for that probe to leave. And he's going to block the Nexus here. Very nice. Going to force the Zealot to be chrono boosted. Probe's coming down. There's a lot of lost mining time for Classic. Is it technically good for Dark? I don't know. But I was just talking about this in the last series. This is the kind of thing Dark is really good at. Throwing off his opponent's game plan, making the game a little bit weirder. Classic's timings. I mean, you know how it is. If you play StarCraft, right, you know how important it is to hit your timings. To know what time you're supposed to put down what pylons or buildings, or when the Nexus is supposed to go down, when you're probing and building units and teching, and something like this. It just throws your game plan off like a little bit. Your timings are a little off. And anything to make Classic maybe have to think a little bit more is going to be good for Dark. Because again, Dark, he's a vibes-based player, man. Vibes-based gameplay is what Dark does in StarCraft. So he's probably a little less concerned with what exact timing he's throwing down buildings. He has like a general idea, but I just don't think that weighs on his mind like it does a lot of other players. And so it's just good for him, even if it's technically not. And I mean, realistically, it's not that big of a deal either way, but just likes to be annoying. And now the drone's in here too, so it's going to just be scouting. Sees the Stargate and it knows what Classic's up to. Ooh, big prediction in chat that Dark is going to 3-0 within 45 minutes. All right, well, this game started at almost 10 o'clock on the dot, my time, so we'll see. Keep an eye out for 10:45. See if it's a 3-0. I hope it's not a 3-0. I would like to see Classic do well. Classic he's a strong player. I would be a little surprised if it was a 3-0 for Dark. But, I mean, Dark's good enough to make it happen. Ooh, cancel on the Stargate. Okay, so that drone left. So now Dark is going to assume that Stargate's still there, but no, it is a Twilight Council and a Robo here out of Classic. So I'm imagining he's going to be going Glaives. That's also going to be able to hit very quickly, which is going to be good because the Stargate being canceled, obviously Dark's in the dark a little bit right now, but it's only a matter of time before he realizes there's no Oracle or Void Ray hitting him. And that probably it was canceled. However, Glaives hits so quickly that by the time he realizes that, there might just be a bunch of Adepts ready to go hit him. Might be a bit of a late realization. He does not have a Roach Warren or a Baneling Nest just yet. Warp Prism is on the way. 3 more gateways finishing up in just a minute here. And, I mean, this is a nice play for Classic. I really, really like this. A bit of misdirection. Saw that Dark scouted him. Dark is not going in with the Overlord, so he's not going to get the follow-up scout at all. Again, he's not seeing the Oracle here. And the Oracle would have come over to see this high ground. So Dark is right now thinking, okay, I don't think it's a Stargate anymore, right? In fact, he doesn't have any spores. So he's got the 1 spore out here. It seems like he already was expecting it not to be a Stargate. The Ling is going to get the scout on some warping in Adepts here. If Dark was paying attention, he would have noticed more of those coming in. 10 Lings on the way, but the Roach Warren only about a third of the way done. Glaives is almost finished here. This could be a bit of a problem for Dark. He's got to get more Lings out. The Queens are all getting pulled to the front to try to body block a little bit. and maybe try to sneak a few hits on this Prism. Those Adepts are going to start coming in. They're going to start working on one of the Queens. They will finish that Shade despite the Lings having the full surround, but there's so many Adepts here versus the amount of Lings. They are getting a pretty good trade. That being said, a few of those Adepts going down as the rest of them are going to... Where did they go? Oh, they canceled the Shade. Okay. They did not go anywhere. Only a couple of drones falling so far. The Queen's doing a great job here, but more Adepts did get warped in, and they're going to start hitting this third base. The main now under assault, but the Roaches are starting to come out. A little bit more of a robust unit. Have a tougher time catching up to the Adepts, but this is going really well for Dark, guys. Considering he didn't actually scout this, he scouted a Stargate that was ended up being canceled. I mean, I feel like this is going really well for him. Oh, and the Queens are here. That Prism is dead, as these Queens will get the alley-oop. The Adepts are finally going to get on top of a few of these drones, so this is what Classic really needs now. His last few Adepts here are trying to get some damage done. Goes for the recall, gets 2 of them out of there. That was only 4 drones killed. No, 8 in total. Okay, 8 in total. Better than I had thought. But it doesn't really feel like enough for Classic. He does have a third base halfway done. And he's got like a pretty solid army back at home. Sentries and Immortals. A little bit of a old school Soul Train army. But I don't know. I kind of like this for Dark. Dark is expecting a follow-up. I don't know if he scouted that with the Lings just then. But he's got Spine Crawlers coming up. He's going to start up Roach Speed as his lair is finished. But he's well, he paused droning for a minute. Start getting up some forces. Has he spotted the third? Oh yeah, he's seeing the third as we speak. I'm honestly very surprised by the Spine Crawlers here. This feels like Spine Crawlers are a crazy choice. He cancels this one at the last second to build an Evo chamber, and he is droning pretty hard now. We'll see if he takes the 4th anytime soon. But it does feel like Classic's just going for the immediate follow-up, and I guess this is what Dark was expecting. The 4 Immortals, though, I feel like make these Spine Crawlers feel so silly. But we'll see. Maybe the Immortals won't hit them. It's a lot of sentries. The Ravagers are going to be crucial here. 10 sentries. That is so much force field energy potential. Oh, and Classic's trying to hide what he has here. He doesn't want this Overlord to see the whole army. He wants to bait him in and then show up with just a bunch more units on the backside. Does land a few force field. Trims off some of those Lings. But Dark, very smart, going to pull back. Dark is trying to get an Infestation Pit out now, but I feel like he's not going to have time to actually build any units. I guess, like, if he had gas, an Infestor could be cool, but he doesn't. So he's going to burrow these Spine Crawlers. He's got 2 more Spines on the way in this base. That's actually kind of insane. The Spine Crawler choice here is mind-boggling to me, but I guess the amount of Adepts, it's starting to make sense as Classic's just been warping in more and more of those. Force fields again going off, and while the Biles can kill them, the Immortals are killing what's ever in front of those force fields so quickly. Oh my god, these Roaches are just getting demolished. And the force fields will continue until morale approves. So many Adepts here as well. Any Lings coming out are just going to get absolutely destroyed. And Dark, well, it seemed like he was getting prepared for this. I don't think he was prepared enough. I'm like, oh, the Spines, they're not going to be good. And it turns out he just needed like 57 more because goddamn Classic is just munching and punching through this army, and GG gets called as Classic takes game number 1. We had at the start of that game a prediction in chat that Dark was going to 3-0, and already that is out the window. Classic starting off with honestly a very sick game right there from Classic. Classic showing that he's not going to get thrown off from his build. You get in there, you hatch block, you scout the base. Oh, you saw a Stargate? Well, your drone's gone. It's canceled. Glaives honestly didn't get a ton of damage done. But then the follow-up is so powerful. Really can punish the Zerg for overdoing it, which it's kind of funny because there's a lot of PvZ builds that don't work against Dark because they try to punish the Zerg for over-droning, not building enough units, not having like mid-game tech. A lot of Zergs will just try to go Ling Queen straight into like lurkers or later game units. Dark usually doesn't do any of those things. He'll go roaches a lot, so he'll always have those mid-game units. He'll go for big attacks, so he won't get caught droning because he just like stopped droning at 63 and went for mass roach. So a lot of those attacks just completely fall flat against Dark, but I think the Adepts earlier on kept him busy long enough where the follow-up hit him really hard. Even though Dark was, I mean, he knew that was coming. He knew something was coming, but he still couldn't stop it. That's a scary thing for Dark, man. He does not strike me as the kind of person that happens to very often. And I do wonder if it's because he was caught off guard by the Stargate cancel at the start of the game, and that put him a little bit further behind than he would have normally been against those Adepts. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Anyways, game number 2, spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Alcyone, we have Classic going up 1-0 with that game number 1. His opponent in the upper right-hand corner going for a little extractor trick. That's the word. Get that 15 out of 14. It is Dark. So Dark does that because he wants to make sure he gets this base. Can take the hatchery a little bit sooner that way. So Classic can't pro block it, but Classic not going for the pro block actually. It looks like he's checking to see if this base has been taken. We have seen Dark take quick golds here. I've seen him actually take the backside of the gold here. Good on Classic for scouting for that. We did see Dark earlier today go for the hatchery in the wall against Gemini. Absolutely dumpstered him. RIP Gemini. But I don't think Dark likely to pull out that kind of hatch block against Classic. Maybe. He does do it against Hero sometimes. Like the 12 pool hatch block, and then you cancel it. Let the Lings in. But I feel like Dark's going to use different builds against Hero than against Classic. I feel like he's more likely to cheese Hero than Classic, funnily enough. Wow, Dark and Classic have played each other in 73 official matches, which is... It is honestly quite a bit less than I would have expected. I imagine the amount of ladder games and custom games they've played against each other is, you know, a lot. many hundreds. Probably thousands. Were they ever on the same team? I don't remember what team these guys were on back in the day, like what the teams were. It's been so long now since we've had like that real kind of team dynamic in Korea. It used to really matter what team you were on, because if you were on a team, you practiced with those people, you played against those players constantly, you guys workshopped strategies together. But these days, like, I mean, obviously these guys are the only StarCraft players on their respective teams at the moment, and that is a little bit more common these days. But even so, even with like a Dragon Phoenix Gaming or something like that, all the Koreans just practice with all of the other Koreans. You know, they all play with each other, play against each other. I imagine they come up with ideas together. Some of them are probably closer than others, but that team dynamic it's not really there anymore, as far as I know. Jin Air Green Wings, was anybody here on Jin Air? I don't think so. But God, it's been so long. Oh, they were both on SK Telecom. Ooh, that's Pro League days. I didn't watch a ton of Pro League back in the day, but I did watch a bit. I wish I had watched more StarCraft. It's one of those things that, like, in hindsight, man, I could have done so much more StarCraft related stuff. back in the early days of StarCraft 2. I really enjoyed the game, and I did watch like GSL. I did watch, you know, MLGs and stuff. But my one StarCraft related regret is not getting more into it back in those days when I could have. And instead, I did this stupid thing called focusing on school and got like a degree and stuff. I could have just dropped out, become a caster in 2012, you know? Could have done it. Imagine how successful I'd be if only I had done it. Anyways, Classic's going for another Glaives build here. This is Stargate Glaives. So double Oracle into Glaives. You know, a little less committed. I imagine he'll be sending a few Adepts across the map, just trying to get in, get some drone kills, but he might not even commit the Adepts in. I've seen these kind of Glaives builds where it almost feels defensive. Like, yes, he can move across the map, try to get some damage done, but I've definitely seen games where the Adepts don't even finish a shade and they just kind of poke and prod. This is nice, though. Speaking of Jin Air, Classic going for the fly better fly strategy, killing 5 drones. Here come the Adepts. They're going to walk towards the third and threaten the shade towards the natural. Yeah, Dark, he's got a lot of Lings, but Ling's not going to be particularly great here. Queen's trying to split a little bit. That's not a ton of Queens here. Those Adepts could finish that shade, or they could just kill all the Lings. Turns out that's a pretty good strategy, too. 6 drones have gone down. I think that was 5 from the Oracle and just 1 more so far. But these drones are hiding in the corner right now. It's not where they want to be. Oh, they're pathing right through the Adepts. Ooh, and that is 6 more drones just like that. This time the Adepts do shade in, forcing the drones again off of the mineral line. Going to kill the Spore Crawler. They're going to keep on shading through into the main now. More Adepts coming in towards the third base, and Dark, oh, he is struggle busting it right now. He's trying to get +1 melee finished up, but it's not done yet. And he is going to smash the W key and then get out of the game. And uh-oh, guys, Classic goes up 2-0 in the grand finals. Can Classic just do it? Can he just knock him out? He saw chat was saying 3-0 Dark, and he was like, yeah, 3-0, bud. You better call that 3-0, but not for me. Might still be a 3-0 in less than 45 minutes. That's true. That's true. Whoever called that might be correct. Was it TBD forever? Yep. TBD forever. Coming in here with the Artosis Curse. Saying Dark's going to win at 3-0 in 45 minutes, and then, I don't know, man. I believe in the 4-0. We'll see if they play a 4th game if Classic wins here. I imagine they won't, but they could. Who knows? Let's see if he can close it out. He's up 2-0. It's just a best of 5, which means that is match point. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Ghost River. Back on this map, it is Classic. And his opponent in the upper left for Talon, it's Dark. And we have seen reverse sweeps in KSL finals before. It is not out of the question. Reverse sweeps are certainly possible here. You know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I would love to see Dark start pulling it back. I don't want a 3-0. I mean, Classic getting a 3-0 would be kind of cool. I always root for Classic. One of my fondest memories, actually, of live StarCraft. I went to BlizzCon 2019, and Classic against Rogue was so sick. Protoss just couldn't, they just couldn't hang against Zerg at that point. The Nidus was too strong. It was just like impossible. Zerg was a little OP at that point, but Classic against Rogue was so sick, man. The blink DTs on World of Sleepers, oh, so good. So good, dude. I cheered for Classic until my voice went out. It was great. Dark did just absolutely demolish him in the next round, but it was so good. And that was the first event I went to after like becoming a part of the community. I went to DreamHack Montreal in 2016, but I didn't know anybody and nobody knew me. I don't... maybe I had just changed my name to Chickenman at that point. I think I had just changed my account. I deleted my old account and made a new account on Twitch. And then changed my name everywhere to Chickenman. Like, maybe a couple months before that DreamHack Montreal. But yeah, I remember going there just to, like, watch the StarCraft. It was cool. But I wish I had known anybody there. And I'm sure there are some people there that I know now. I'm, like, very confident there were people there that I know now. It's a nice catch for Classic. It looks like the Ling is still going to be able to sneak in. So Dark's still going to be able to get the scout off on the base. It's crazy how good he is at that. Sees the Stargate. Classic could cancel it again. I have a feeling he won't this time, though. Back when I was Chicken Child. No, so before I was Chicken Man, I was known in chat as Python. Specifically HKG Python. But I think most people... would not remember that. I didn't hang out in too many chats under that name. I didn't spend a lot of time in Twitch chat, actually. Like, back in the day, I would watch Twitch on the Team Liquid webpage instead of actually watching it on twitch.tv. Funnily enough. This is a really nice catch for Dark. He is going to just murk both of those Adepts before they get anywhere near a drone line. Kills them both. Now the Oracle is forced to stay at home to defend this probe taking the third base. The Nexus will go down. The Oracle has to turn on immediately, though, because it's so fresh, those Lings could have jumped on it. I will say it's a lot more fun to go to events when I, like, interact in chat and know people and, you know, obviously have been streaming for a number of years now, so get to be a part of the community and hang out with the fam. It's a lot of fun. If you guys get a chance to go to any events and you haven't been, I would highly recommend it. Even if you're just a humble Twitch chatter. It's always cool to meet people who I've seen in chat. And I always forget what everybody looks like, so I feel kind of bad. But, like... or I forget their username. It's like one of the two. I'll forget the connection between the face and the name in chat sometimes. What if I'm a narcissistic chatter? Ah, joke's on you. All Twitch chatters are narcissistic. Oracle's going to come in, try to grab a few more drones. One of them will fall, though. Oof. Queen's getting some good shots off on these guys. That's going to be 5, 6 drones as he goes in for one more. 7 drones there for one Oracle. Nice little trades. Ling's on the other side of the map. Going to get pushed away at the third base. And there is Blink started up for Classic. Any humble chatters? No humble chatters, dude. They don't exist. Humble Twitch chatter doesn't exist. So I get to meet everyone again for the first time at each event. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I definitely did that thing a couple of times where I did like a nice to meet you, and they were like, oh, we met in Atlanta. And I was like, ah, yeah, I mean, good to see you again. Whoops. It happens. It happens. It doesn't help that I have a bad memory, and also sometimes am either extremely tired at events or maybe a little drunk when I met some of these people. You know, the memory fades. But it is super fun. It is super fun. I would love to go to a Home Story Cup. I assume they'll announce Home Story Cup 26 dates at the end of this weekend. I know they said this was the last one, but I feel like they always say it's the last one, so I'm just going to hold out hope that that's not the case. Because I want more Home Story Cup. Because I want to go to Home Story Cup. And if there's one in like January, I'm going to do my absolute best to go. December might be a little tough, but I'm kind of hoping, kind of pulling for January. Plane tickets are usually a lot cheaper then. And that's a big part of the expense going to Germany from Seattle. Ooh, this is cute. Dark going for a little bit of a German taxi here. He's got queens and an overlord. He's got roaches. I was going to say ravagers, but it's just one. There you go. Second ravager. Oh, and hey, look at that. There's 6 more morphing right back here. And Dark is going to hit the front. Classic. He has Storm ready, but Storm not particularly great against roaches. It's okay, though, and he's landing some fat storms on these roaches. Not good against roaches, I say, as they sit in those bad weather storms, taking maximum damage. So many roaches went down there, but the Archons are dying. There's no more storm left. The Lings are starting to come in. Queens have dropped out. There is creep spread as well, so they can transfuse a little bit, too, as they're going to start dropping creep tumors. More roach reinforcements coming across as the Stalker's trying to blink backwards. Not a lot of static defense here, though, to keep these Stalkers healed up, and they are eating some biles. Immortal on the other side going to do its best and just try to trim off some of these queens, but probes are being forced to pull here. However, I think Classic might be holding right now. He's cleaning up these roaches and ravagers. Oh, that blink forward's a little bit painful, though. Immortal coming in at the same time. These roach reinforcements are going to have a tough time fighting against that. So many low Stalkers, but hey, a low Stalker does the same amount of damage as a high hit point Stalker. Oh, the Immortal getting jumped on. It does not have blink or a shield battery. Down it goes. It's just a few Stalkers left as these roach reinforcements are trying to clean this up. But I don't know if Dark has enough to push through just yet. Classic is going to hold. He did lose, I think, some workers. He pulled probes at some point, but he's only down 6. This 4th base for Dark is not very saturated. Meanwhile, Classic's it kind of is, actually. I like Classic's position here. Dark also lost like all of his queens. He has 1 queen left over here in the natural. So his larva count's going to be very, very low as he's just trying to build roaches desperately right now. Clearing out some of these rocks. I mean, I think this is still okay for Dark, but his problem is he doesn't have any tech. He doesn't have any queens. His drone count isn't great. He hasn't droned at all. He's just building units, which is such a Dark thing to do. Classic has been probing up, but he's also building some static defense to try to hold off this next push. However, it's not quite done yet. Shield battery will finish just in time to hold on a little bit, but a few Stalkers going down, a few roaches going down. Did see some probes falling as well. Dark needs to get more done than that, man. He's got nothing else. He's just continuing to be all in. I mean, 70 drones, you know, he can at some point try to get out of this, but the longer he just holds on to the roach button, the harder that's going to be. 7 overlords on the way now. Still very low on larva, constantly using all of the larva he has. Oof. Not diggity. 10 more ravagers morphing right now. He is not pulling off the gas at all. Stalker's going to walk forward. They will see the amount of ravagers here, and I feel like that's going to be a big tell for Classic. Oh, hey, you have 47,000 ravagers. You're probably going to attack me pretty soon. Let's see what we have here. There are 4 Immortals out on the field. There are also a few High Templars, so Storms could be very, very big here if he's able to gather enough energy for Storms. They don't quite have it yet. This one is about to get it, though, so a few Storms will be available. Oof, some big biles going down, though. See if some Storms can land, at least zone this army back. The longer Classic holds on here, like zoning and just buying time, kind of always going to be good for him. That being said, the Infestation Pit's finally on the way for Dark, so he is going to start teching a little bit. But the cannons and shield batteries here making it even harder for Dark to break through and find any damage at all. A little bit of a supply block here for Classic as he loses some pylons. And Classic doesn't really have much tech behind this either. He's just building more Immortals. It is double Robo. he could get into a Robo Bay. But for right now, he's just getting upgrades. He's got +2 attack and +1 armor on the way. Charge is almost done. Dark finished the infestation pit, but he hasn't really done anything with it. No infestors, no hive. He's just going for a double expansion instead, which Classic is going to scout at least one of those hatcheries. He could get some zealots on top of that, but he's also got to focus back at home. Lings and Roaches going to be heading around, I guess, towards this 4th base, or maybe looking for a bit of a surround here. As the Roaches and Ravagers break through some rocks, they're going to hit the natural from this side. They got to be so careful, though. This army of Classic does so much damage. There's the Lings and Roaches getting in here, at least going to take down some of this stuff. I think Classic should be able to come back and defend this as well. And Dark, again, struggling to find any damage here, as Classic's going to be able to, I think, force cancel on this base. And he should spot this one soon, maybe. Ooh, can the Zealots do it? Yeah, they certainly can. There's the cancel. They'll get picked up in the War Prism. Classic did not scout this hatch. It's actually very important. Oh, but Classic is going to jump on this army, killing a lot of the Roaches and Ravagers here. God, the Immortals. 7 Immortals. Roaches are just not going to be the way. But that's all that Dark has. This is this problem. His Hydra Den is just finishing. Those are not going to have upgrades. No range, no speed. He really just has to stick with Roaches for now. These are +2 Roaches, but Classic's got +1 armor. He's got +2 attack as well. And these Immortals are just going to be so powerful here. However, they're getting caught on the backside a little bit. They might get hit with some Biles as Dark tries to dive in on top of this army. High Templar count getting a little bit thinned out here. A couple of them going down. A couple of Immortals went down as well. There's only 5 left. As I say that, 2 more show up. He's just back up to 7. That's a terrifying amount of Immortals. Hive is almost done. Hydra Den going to start getting upgrades. There's the Lurker Den. Dark is trying to get his tech up, but he's on 62 drones right now. His economy is just in the absolute dumps. Classic has been mining so much more for so much longer, and he's been trading better. Classic's in a great spot right now. Dark's only hope is if he can get some good Hydras out, get some Lurkers morphed. But I don't think Classic's going to give him time. He wants to keep this pressure on. He wants to keep pushing forward. He doesn't have detection, so this creep spread is actually really good for Dark right now. Well, Stalkers blink a little bit far forward as the Biles will keep the Immortals back for a minute. Feels like a small consolation, though, as Classic is continuing to press forward, and Classic has taken the supply lead now. That blink forward, I think, was much better for him, and he is just trimming off a lot of these units. Hydras are coming out. They do have range, but they don't have their speed upgrade, so retreating is going to be a little harder for them. Oh my god, and the storms just land on everything. There's the WW as Dark is forced to tap out, and Classic, in 35 minutes, takes the 3-0 victory. Damn, no reverse sweep today. Classic does not let it happen. He says, this is my tournament to win, and he did it, man. He won. He took down our #1 seeded player. And Dark, once again, gets to the finals against a Protoss. It's not even hero, but he still can't quite do it. GG.